Greetings, viewers. This is CP666 signing on for another computer build video for a server. This one is not really what I thought it was going to be, mostly because I didn't actually pay attention to what I bought. But I got this board as a lowball offer, or I put a lowball offer on this board and won. This is actually if you take a look there, a Gigabyte B85M-D2V with the B85 chipset, which is the business end. Probably not too unlike the B450, B550, B560, 460, those kinds of chipsets these days. Although maybe not. I think it's probably more closely related to something like the A320 or what other chipsets for Intel? The H510 is another one that I've recently got experience with. And the reason why I say that is because it's only got 2 RAM slots. I have this thing set up for 16 gigs, since that's pretty much all that I'm ever going to be able to put in this. It's not even really good RAM. It's only DDR3 1333, but it'll do for this for now. I'll upgrade it later when I get the chance to get some more DDR3 1600. I'm not going to pay for DDR3 1600 though. So we have this B85M board, 16 gigs of RAM. It's actually got a Core i7-4770 CPU. I was originally going to put an i5-4440 on it, because it was going to go into what I think is my YouTube upload server. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that is in the far corner that you're not going to be able to see. That's decided it's not going to power on now. I don't really know what's up with that. If it's the power supply, which I hope it's not, because that is a relatively new power supply, or if it's just that the board, maybe the CMOS batteries failed, I don't know. But I can't get it to turn on via Wacom LAN or anything, so I'm just going to pull that out, because I wanted to pull it out anyway. It's just an i3-530, and it's pretty old and power hungry. But there's just one problem with that plan, and it is that if you notice, there is no PCI slot on this board. And that particular machine has a RAID card in it that uses PCI. So this isn't going to work. Now, I have a RAID card on order that's PCI Express, but I can't use it because I don't have it yet. So we're going to stick with the PCI stuff. Plus, that would mean I would have to remake the RAID array. I'd have to copy the data back over. I see no reason to do that for right now. I recently put another board into that machine there, which again, same spec, i7-4770. It's actually got 20 gigs of RAM in it, but it's unstable because I think some of the RAM chips are bad. But I'm going to go ahead and pull that out and put this in its place. But I'm going to put that board in there, even though again it's an i7 as opposed to an i5. I may change the chip. In fact, I probably actually will change the chip to that one. Scrub off all that heatsink paste. I'll just change the chip over, because I'm going to change the heatsink anyway. So I might as well just change the chip, put it in there, and be done with it. But we'll do that later. I may even do that in a separate video, I don't know. But then again, I might just do it in this video, because it's a lot of repeated information. There's no real reason for me to make another video. I'll decide, but I gotta get this into a system first. Okay, well, you can't really see much. It's the black motherboard, but everything is plugged in, I hope. Ready to go, and nothing is going to interfere with the fan. I hope. But I've made a little bit of a miscalculation. Number one is I'm hoping that the cover is going to actually clear this heatsink. Number two, this board doesn't really necessarily fit in this case, because there's no space for a standoff right there. Because this obviously is an OEM case. This is an eMachines case. So it's not really designed for motherboards beyond what would have been in here when it was new. But the other miscalculation is that I don't know if I was supposed to get one and I didn't get it, or I misplaced it, or if it didn't come with one and I just didn't read. But I have no I/O plate for this board, so I guess it's going to be stuck like this. I may buy an I/O plate, or I may not, I don't know. Probably will, just because I think it looks really stupid to not have I/O shields. But I just got it so that everything in that server rack had an I/O shield, and now something is not going to. It's so annoying. Whatever. Means nothing if it doesn't power on, right? I am going to go into setup, because I do want to go into setup so I can check everything in setup. Make sure that all the settings are right. Please go into setup. It didn't even bother to go into setup. Is my keyboard working? I'm not sure why it ignored me. That was really dumb. But at least it boots. I guess there's one thing. AHCI mode better have been on. Because it just ignored me going into setup. That's so stupid. Go into setup. You piece of garbage. You know what? I'm gonna force you into setup. We're gonna do this until you go into setup. There, now we're in setup. So now I'm going to set this thing up properly. And hopefully it didn't have AHCI on, or it did have AHCI on, and I'm not going to have to do a whole bunch of rigmarole with Windows now. Okay, so even though one drive was missing in setup, they're all showing up, and they're all there, and they're all working. Don't really understand that, but whatever, I'm going to take it. And I'm going to go ahead and put the cover on, and I'll put it in place, because it's pretty much done. I don't have anything else to do with it while it's here, other than to change the MAC address. So that way the MAC address will match everything on there properly. Okay, let's power it up. Now that it's here, is when it will have all the problems. Please work. Okay, well that's promising. But Windows logo. Okay. Well, I don't like that. Oh, there it goes. So it is working. I'll go make sure it's got the right IP address. And, then we can move on to the next one, which, of course, you can't even really see it. But it's got to be the one that's in the far corner, because, you know, that's how things work. Okay, here's the existing setup in this machine. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to have to pull out I'm going to pull out the expansion card. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this existing board out. I think I've got another one of these Deep Cool Feta 20 heatsink kicking around, so I don't have to reuse this one. But I may reuse it anyway, because a quick power-up seemed to suggest that this thing is incredibly unreliable. Out of 4 attempts, I only got it to post once, and when I did that, it came up and said the CMOS checksum's bad, even though that's a brand new CR2032 battery. So, I think I'm going to just recycle this one, and we can replace it with something better. I don't know what it is. You know, normally Gigabyte boards are incredibly reliable, but I've got a whole pile of these things, and none of them work right. So, I don't really know. It must just be because they've done a lot of long, hard hours at work. But it's not like the Asus ones are any better. They've done a lot of long, hard hours, too. Either way, let me go ahead and pull all this stuff out so we can get this set up. Okay, there it is. New board installed. Are you ready to watch this thing not work? So I bet it won't after all that. I changed the CPU, so it's got an i5 in it as opposed to an i7, so I'm not wasting an i7. That i7 will probably go into, because I've got a couple of these boards with i5s on them. I may just swap one of them out for an i7. Just say, whatever, might as well just do it, right? What else needs to be plugged in? I don't think there is anything else. So we'll try it. See, it powers on. And we get the beep. Yay! That's what we want. Except I want to go into setup. Hopefully it caught me soon enough. Okay. So there's our Rocket Raid ringing in. Let's see if that all rings in. I think it probably did. Pushing delete, I think. Okay. This is evidently going to take some work. As soon as I pause the camera, man. Yeah, alright. New CPU installed. Press F1. Don't mind if I do. I don't know if this keyboard is even working. What a pain in the butt. I guess it's not, so I guess I'm rebooting the system anyway. Okay. I'm not really sure why it just did that. But seems to be just as reliable as the Gigabyte board that it replaced. So that's good. That's always good. That's what I want. I just want you to go into the BIOS setup utility. Come on. Just do your job. Okay. Now, I have a problem because I need something that I can use to do this. Should be no BIOS password, and there's not. Alright. AI tweaker. I'm going to see if I can find the XMP mode. Yeah, it's right there. XMP, profile 1. Should be good to go. I'll set this up to my liking, then we'll see if it'll boot. So I was wondering why it wasn't booting. Well, this would certainly explain why. Another one of these stupid 16 gigabyte Apacer SSDs decided to fail. Not this one. The one that is in question is actually still installed. It's the last one I have. And, well, that's the last one that's going to fail. So I'm going to go ahead and replace it. Okay, I don't know what it's actually booting to right now. Or maybe it's not booting. Okay, this is ridiculous. Honestly, it really is. Wow. Okay, I gotta be honest with you. I've been fighting with this thing for 3 hours, trying to get this to work. I even changed out the board and had the same problem. Well, actually, it was a different problem. It was a different subset of problems. What turned out to be the actual problem is that my USB thumb drive that I was using failed. And it just slowly, gradually got worse. And then I tried to remake it again, and it just bombed out. I can't actually even write anything to that drive anymore. So then I switched, and then it booted up just fine. So now I think we can go ahead and just install, which I will do. Install Embedded OS. I'm not doing GPT, because I have a feeling that is just going to screw up. So, we're going for the MBR, which I'm okay with. USB device, ADA0 is the only place we can install it. No, we'll leave that alone. Recommends 1024. We'll leave it at that. Hopefully that will actually work. We'll let it do its thing, and then I'll be back. Okay, let me choose option number 7. I do want to reboot. Again, we'll let it do its thing here. I'm going to pull the drive. We'll make sure that it actually starts, and then I'm going to go ahead and change out or install all the rest of the drives because I unplugged them all so I wouldn't accidentally install the wrong thing. Could I have used GPT? Probably. Should I have used GPT? Maybe. But I don't trust it. Okay, I think we're good to go. Everything is running. I did have to run file system check on the backup drive for some reason. I don't know why. I also don't really know why I didn't have to run it on that, but whatever. Everything is configured. All 16 gigs of RAM is seen. Everything seems to be functional. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. So we'll shut it down. We'll choose option number 8. I do want to shut down. We'll let it write all its stuff. Wait for everything to synchronize. It'll all shut down. Turn off. And that's it. I'm going to put this in the rack, power it up, and hopefully it will work. Okay, a little hard to see, but it is in that mess. I think I've got the KVM set correctly. I'll let it come on here. That KVM should be set correctly. I have video. Now, the Rocket Raid option ROM is not going to load, because for whatever reason, when I let it load the Rocket Raid option ROM, it doesn't boot. So you can see I get a boot, everything boots just fine. If I let it load the option ROM, it stops when it starts enumerating the disks and starts emitting a bunch of beeps. And I know I've had that issue before with systems where it decides that it's not going to, for whatever reason, the option ROM for the Rocket Raid takes over the keyboard or something. I don't really know why, or what causes that. Just that it's stupid, and I've never been able to figure it out. I'm also not really sure why the primary GPT table would be corrupt on that. I've tried FSCK, and it doesn't do anything. So, whatever, I guess. I don't want to totally wreck it. It does seem to work, at least. Okay, the fact that it says no link is a little concerning. That's not wrong. I'm not sure why it's got no link. That's kind of odd. The cable not plugged in or something? Yeah, the cable wasn't plugged in. Let's see if it'll pick up an address now. That's trying. Doesn't like that cable, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna have to replace that cable. Okay, well, it's kind of an oversized cable anyway, so I'm not too upset. But still, that's irritating. And just add to the growing list of things that have been wrong with this entire process. Okay, so I changed the cable. Now it is on the network. It's getting the correct IP address and everything seems to be okay. I did have to reboot the web console, because for whatever reason it gave me a 403 forbidden error after plugging that in. I guess because it didn't load the firewall rules correctly. So, once you figured that out, that was no big deal to deal with. So that's pretty much it for that. I gotta put the other ones back in here, but I'm going to save that for off camera. You don't need to watch that. That's kind of boring. They're not part of this video. So, thank you for watching, and if you've got any comments, feel free to leave them down below.